Hey guys, server back here. Hey guys, server back here.
Hey guys, server back here, and today I'm reviewing GrimGrimoire once more for the PS5. This is the deluxe edition physical. This is a RTS game that came out originally on the PS2, I believe, in 2007, and got remade or remastered on the PS4 and 5. I played the PS5 version. But anyway, I'm going to go over the same 5 categories I always do: graphics, performance, gameplay/story, replayability, fun factor, give each category a score from 1 to 10, average them up, and then talk about the game a little bit. So, like I said, this is a real-time strategy game, although it has aspects similar to like a traditional like Command and Conquer, Warcraft 1 and 2 kind of game where you gather resources. But this one's single player only, which I'm kind of more of a fan of nowadays, because once they turn the servers off on strategy games, they become kind of useless, or at least part of the game's missing. But this game has a few issues on its own, and we'll get to that. But anyway, I'll get to more of that when I talk about the gameplay. But we'll start off with graphics, and I think graphics are awesome in this game. As you can see, they're all hand-drawn. It's Vanillaware, so if you're familiar with their games, they all have the same kind of art style. The characters are really kind of exaggerated. Some people don't like some of the exaggerations, as you might see in some of the screenshots. But I think the graphics, the effects, I love it. I love the art style. I think it looks really, really good. So graphics, I gave it 10. And some of the artwork you unlock after every level, you may unlock artwork, and it'll show who was the artist. It'll show like a little caption, and I'll put some of the screenshots. But it's just beautiful. It looks like watercolor and just hand drawn stuff. It just looks awesome. So performance is the next category, and I had not one issue with this game. It worked from start to finish flawlessly. There was no slowdown. This is a PS2 game remade, so and the graphics aren't like pushing the PS5 to its limits, ray tracing, none of that stuff. So it wasn't pushing the console too hard, but it works, man. There was no glitches, no bugs, perfect, no crashes. 10 out of 10 for performance. Next category, gameplay/story. I'm definitely going to have the most to say. So, this is a strategy game where, like I said, you collect resources. You'll see on the screen you have these little like crystals. You have the runes, which make each character. There's like 8 or 9 different kind of runes that all have different units that they make. The gatherers, as you can see, have to be like attached to that rune, so you want to build them in close proximity to the crystals. You have you can see on the bottom left, you have a cap, like a unit cap. It's 60, but you can push that all the way up to 99 later on in the game. And there will be no spoilers, by the way. I never do spoilers in my videos. Or mostly never. But the game is pretty deep. Like I said, it has like 8 or like different factions or different runes, they call them in this game. And each rune has like 2 or 3 different kinds of units usually to build. And they all have different abilities. Some can heal. You can build defensive towers. You could build towers that heal your guys. Every unit usually has somebody it's weak to. It's a really well thought out strategy game. And I was super surprised that I hadn't heard of this game. I often Google like strategy games for PS5 or PS4 or PS3. I'm pretty sure I have like most console strategy games. I love console strategy games. I have a whole video on that. Why strategy games or RTS games are my favorite. This one, usually RTS games, you're looking from the top down and you build units, or mostly top down, a little isometric. But this one is 2D-ish. So it has a different view. And at first, you're really zoomed in, and I was concerned about that. But then you learn that the controls and the tutorial is pretty long. Game is for strategy fans. If you're not a fan of strategy games, you're definitely not going to like this, because this is a strategy game. It is not a strategy RPG. This is definitely an RTS game, but with some differences. You can see the towers I have there fighting, protecting my little base. So I love that there's towers that fight for you. There's towers that heal you. You really get to learn the units. There's also a skill tree where you can level up different aspects of different units. You earn coins. So every mission, it'll show you how many coins like you'll earn, but it'll also give you coins for additional like side missions, kind of like a bonus objectives. So if you're having trouble, the game has like 5 days and it's like a loop. So there may be 25 or 30, maybe there's 30 different levels. And they get tough. But anyway, there's like 30 different levels. And then there's what they call the trials. So if you're having trouble and you need to earn more coins, you get coins for beating a level, like I said. And then you also get bonus coins it'll show you. So if you want to do bonus objectives, you can unlock more, but you can also go to the trials, and they get tough too, but you can unlock more coins to unlock more abilities to make your units tougher, more resilient to damage, that kind of thing, move faster, have new abilities. So you'll do all that in the skill tree, which is cool. And that's the difference between this one and the PS2 version that I read online. So I can't wait to go watch reviews on this. I never watch reviews prior to playing games, so I can't wait to see what other people thought. I thought it was awesome. Man, I got like addicted. I told my wife the other day, or yesterday, I was like, I'm mildly obsessed with this game right now. So I beat this in about a week. It's about 18 to 20 hour game. Because it took me, some of the levels got really tough. There's 3 difficulty settings. 4. When you beat the game, you get one called Hell. But I have major critiques of that, so I'll get to that in the replayability. But I played it under normal, like I do most games. But towards the end, I really considered. Last night I spent, 45 minutes, an hour on one level, and I just did it over and over and over. And I tried it again today, but I was really considering switching it to easy. I didn't. My wife talked me into it. In fact, I'm going to have to give props to my wife. I was doing this thing. I'm not going to do anything because it'll spoil it. But I was doing this thing in a weird way. And she's like, why don't you try this? So she had an idea. And I didn't use her exact idea, but she gave me the idea and it kind of not ruins the game. But once you figure out this one little strategy that I figured out, it gets borderline too easy. Now, under hard, that strategy may not work, which I like that they have different difficulties. I really like that. But I would recommend playing it under normal. It's a whole lot of fun. There's a whole lot of different strategies. That's what I like about this game. There's so many different ways you can go about beating it or getting beat, because it'll show you what kind of... Oh, and the enemies use the same exact units usually. Sometimes they have different... Well, they always have like different kinds of units, but it'll tell you what to expect. So you can kind of get ready or build units that might counter those units. But yeah, the gameplay loop is really fun. I do not like, however, the crystals run out. They're finite. Once they run out of resources, you have to move to the next crystal. So every level has a finite amount of resources. So once you run out of that, that's it. So I prefer strategy games that have an unlimited supply. Like I know like Warcraft, you run out of gold in the mines, but like Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2 for the 360, it's just an infinite supply of resources. And I really I don't know how many games are like that. There's not a whole lot, because I know like even the Command & Conquer, you run out of like the Tiberium fields, I believe. Most games don't have that infinite supply, but that's just a minor critique on my part. It adds difficulty and makes you play in different ways and makes you move. So maybe this game's designed around the finite number of resources. So, but I prefer strategy games that have infinite, if that makes sense. But It's phenomenal. I love the gameplay. It's challenging. You're going up and down these towers. You'll start in different spots in the tower. Um, some characters can move through, like these little fairies you see can fly through levels. Some have to take the stairs, so you have to really consider those options when attacking or defending. So, and they go over all this in the tutorial, which the tutorial goes on for 5 stages, I believe, or maybe even a little longer. And look at this unit, just huge units, dragons, all kind of crazy units. It's really, really cool. But anyway, that's kind of the gameplay. The story is good. Okay, it is kind of out there, but they have. I like the story. I do like the story. I like the characters. You really get to know them. You play in like a little loop kind of situation. I won't say any more than that, but you get to know the characters pretty well. You can read about all the characters, their backgrounds. It has a huge library. Some of the art you can see is a little risque, definitely not for kids, but I think this game may only be rated teen. But it has humor. It's a cool game. I like the way it's pretty well written. I like the voice acting. So the story's good, but the gameplay, puts a shadow on the story. So overall, I'm going to give gameplay / story an 8. I think it's really good. Next category is going to be replayability. So this is where I wish I could say better things. So replayability. You beat the game, you go through it. You can, I believe, play it under easy, get all the trophies just for beating the game. Come on, man. After you beat the last level, the platinum pops. There's no endless mode. Come on, games like this. Strategy games need some kind of endless mode where even if the resources aren't finite, just last as long as you can with the units and the base you've built, something like that. It just needs it. The trophies, there should be at least one trophy for beating it under a harder difficulty. So you could have beat this under easy and get the same trophy as me. I don't like that. So that's a huge bummer. Once you beat the game, you platinum it. There's little reason to return to this game because you've seen the story, you've beat all the stages. I did beat, I don't know, 3 or 4 of the trials. I don't even know. There may be 10 trials. So you could go back and do that. That would give you more to play. But I'm a trophy guy. I don't like how the trophies are so easy in this game. And plus, there's no endless mode for a strategy game. Come on, or some kind of mode to extend the life of the game. So I'm going to give replayability a 2. Usually strategy games are way higher. I mean, just look how many units are on screen right there. But anyway, last category is going to be fun factor. I had a good time with this game. But like I said, it got frustrating at one point because it got so difficult. The difficulty spike under normal is still pretty high. Had to cut, but just to get right to it, fun factor an 8. And to recap, graphics a 10, performance a 10, gameplay / story an 8, replayability a 2, fun factor an 8. That averages out to a 7.6 out of 10. Good strategy game. If you find it on at a discounted rate, I do recommend picking it up. And it's physical. Can't beat that. Server and out.